Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I am out of the Philippines now and back in the United States. If you've never seen my channel before, a little bit of background on me. I left the United States over 2 years ago, and I have been traveling through Eastern Europe, through Southeast Asia, and for the last over a year, I've been living in the Philippines, where I've set up a home base for my time when I'm traveling around Asia. And so now I'm back in the United States for a few weeks. I had to come back to get some things done. I am an attorney in the United States, and my law practice is here, even though I am not physically in the United States most of the time. I do everything remote. I've not been in the United States to do anything in 2 years, but a few things came up that I did need to come in to get put to bed, and I probably won't be back for several years after this. So I want to tell you all about reverse culture shocks. I had heard about this all of my life, and I had at one point gone to school in England for about a year when I was young, and I did experience a little bit of reverse culture shock, but not nearly as much as I have this time. I've heard other people talk about it on different channels. I was actually kind of skeptical that it was real, but I have definitely experienced some. So I want to tell you all what some weird stuff has been like to me coming back to the United States after being gone for so long. But today I'm actually in a park, a state park here in Tennessee, and I'm over on the lake. I'll show y'all some better views of it here later, but totally kind of peaceful and quiet most of the time, other than when a car will come up and make the loop. But I'll show y'all some pictures of this bluff overlooking the lake before we leave the channel here. Now, all these impressions are basically from the first 24 to 30 hours that I've been here in the United States. And the first thing, I got into Tennessee my plane landed at 11:45 at night, so it was already late. So the airport was very dead. We were the last plane coming in. There wasn't a lot of people on it. And when I went out to get the rental car, it's very quiet. There's a low hum and of energy, you know, from the electricity a little bit, from the lights, and maybe from a few cars going by. But the first thing that struck me, two things actually, at the airport, getting the car and then driving about an hour away to where my parents' hometown is so that I could visit with them, was how quiet it was. There's just so little noise here compared to, especially the Philippines and Southeast Asia, but the Philippines in particular, to where it's always so noisy. There's always so much, you know, whether there's a karaoke party or there's people honking their horns, or for whatever reason, there's just noise all the time. And that simply wasn't the case when I got here. It was so very, very peaceful. And most of the places that I've gone to have been, even in the city, just are not as loud and noisy as they are in the Philippines. And it really struck me. The second thing that struck me, and this is something my wife had told me about the first time that she had moved to the United States, that she had noticed, was how clean the roads were. It's just the grass didn't have litter on it and stuff. There wasn't trash thrown to the side. And like today, this is a state park. This is an open park. It's entrance free, and they don't even have trash cans here. But if you just look around, I just want to show you, you don't see like litter and stuff. Like, I've got videos that I've shown, you know, in the Philippines in parts where there's like a trash receptacle 5 feet away and just nobody uses it. And so coming back here, that was just, I really hadn't noticed it before. I had noticed trash in other countries, in Albania and Serbia, and to be honest with you, with the exception of Germany, every single country I've been to on this last trip has had just a garbage or a pollution problem of people littering. And it happens in the United States too. The big difference is, there are some people that are more conscious of throwing it out, but we do have slave labor here in the United States and have prisoners that are paid 13 cents an hour to go pick up trash on the side of the road. That's an unfortunate fact of life, but we do have that here, and that's one of the reasons that it is so much clean, because these other countries don't have that, or at least don't have it that I'm aware of. The next one has been English, and I don't think this one is going to last very long. I've never actually heard of anybody talking about this before, but all the countries I've been traveling to, English is not the language that's spoken. Some people do speak English, like in the Philippines, very fluent in English, and Thailand, you could find people who speak English in Eastern Europe, but it's definitely not been the primary language. It's not what people are speaking all around me when I'm out at restaurants or I'm in stores. But here in the United States, I've noticed at the 2 or 3 restaurants I've been to in the last day and a half is that I sit down, and of course everybody's speaking English here, and I hear it and I'm tuned into the conversations, even though it's not a conversation I'm interested in, and I'm not meaning to eavesdrop. This is not something that I would have ever done in the past, but it's like I can't tune it out because I can finally understand what's being said around me fluently. It's like my brain's focused in on it a little bit, which again, I wouldn't care what people were saying or having conversations around me when I was living in the United States, but I found that I can't tune it out right now. Now, that's probably going to fade in a couple of days. Surely after a week, I won't even notice it anymore. But it's been really shocking that I'm sitting there and it's like, I want to think about something, but I'm tuned into these conversations around me. So a few other things that have changed, or I don't remember them being this way when I left before, was when I got in, I went to a bank and used my ATM card, and they wanted to charge me a $3.50 fee. It was in the middle of the night to use that, and I've never had that in the United States before. They were always honored at the different ATMs, so I don't know if things have changed or I just was very fortunate in the past. So that's something new that I wasn't used to and had only really experienced when I had lived over or have been living overseas, and the international fees that I pay on ATMs. And then the next one is that when I went to pay for twice now for food with a credit card, and it asks you to leave a tip, and it doesn't ask you how much. It like suggests on like a $10 meal, it suggested like a $10 tip or a $5 tip, a $5 tip, a $10 tip, and a $15 tip, which is like absolutely ridiculous why you would leave a 50% tip or presume it. So I just, ignored that, obviously. But I guess they're trying to catch people unawares. I'd never seen that before. Certainly, that wasn't like that 2 years ago, 3 years ago when I was in the United States. And when I first got here, so this is going to be quick, but when I first got here, I went to Taco Bell because it was the middle of the night. It was the only thing open when I first got in, and I hadn't eaten to get a taco. Now, it was slow, so there wasn't anybody there hardly, so it was very quick, and that would have been to be expected even before in the United States. But then the next morning, the nearest place to me was a McDonald's, so I got up to eat breakfast there. And, there was some people there. It wasn't like it was empty. I mean, there was a crowd of people, but they weren't cooking to order. So when I'm in the Philippines, they're always cooking to order, so it takes so long to get your food for the same amount of people, because they're basically, you order it, they go cook it, and here they know what they're selling, and it was, it's prepped, and it's just so much faster, the service is, than I've been used to in the Philippines. And that is something that I just had completely forgot. To be honest with you, when I was living in the United States before, I very rarely ate fast food. And I rarely eat breakfast in the United States. It's just I've gotten used to it now that I've been living abroad, and even though we might do it at home or whatnot, but so that's different. And I guess it had always been that way. I remember that now, for lunches and dinners, that it was always much quicker. So anyway, it was shocked I'd forgotten about it, I guess. Now, this really kind of next one applies more to where I'm at in the United States rather than the United States. But I live in a rural, or I don't live, my family lives, I guess, in a my hometown where I was born and where I went to high school is in a kind of a more rural area. It's really a suburbs of the metropolitan area of the city. And so we got lots of critters here. So like when I woke up in the morning, I was greeted by this guy, little squirrel, who was a very curious critter. And then there were ducks and there were deer and there were rabbits. And that's all in one day. There was also some, there was a fox apparently, but I didn't see him. My folks told me about him. So just seeing all those critters, which I don't see anywhere where I'm traveling, in the other countries, even in the Philippines where I've been living. And again, I'm living in the middle of the city. It's not rural like that, but even when I go rural in the Philippines, I don't really see any large mammals like that are wild. And this final one, I'm probably gonna do a whole video expounding upon this one. Because it's shocking. I've been hearing about it on the news. My subscribers and people that watch my channel are telling me about this in the comments. When I talk to fellow attorneys back in the United States, when I talk to friends and family, I hear about it, but I had not seen it for myself. And a lot of times I start to think that things like this are exaggerated, but it's dealing with inflation. And the inflation is absolutely real. The typical cost of things, from what I can tell, on almost every single item, I mean, maybe 90% of them, has at least doubled since I left 2 years ago. So my point of reference for what the United States has been traveling this whole time, like when I say that something is expensive in the Philippines that's imported, it turns out it's not. It's about the same price as what I would now be paying in the United States. It's just twice as much as I would have been paying 2 years ago. And so going to the store, and I went in the middle of the night when I first got in because there wasn't much else to do, and I looked around, it was just the costs of so many items, just item for item, had doubled in price, literally doubled in price. I seriously doubt the wages have doubled, so that's got to be hammering people here. It's just got to be doing that. But these were kind of things that some of them I was expecting a little, but a lot of them I just really wasn't. So yeah, anyway, guys, that's after 36 hours. That's my initial thoughts on things that have kind of shocked me about coming back to the United States after all of this time. I'm sure some of those are going to fade away over the next couple days. I'm only going to be here for a couple weeks, and then I'm going to be back in Asia. I've got a lot of different places that I want to show you guys, and then be back in the Philippines probably in a month to 6 weeks. Again, I'm traveling solo. My family's there. We've established a home base in the Philippines, so I'm definitely returning back. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update of what's going on here, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, if you've ever experienced any of this, or if any of those things shocked you or didn't surprise you at all.